So what's the point in forking over clams for some skins for a game that might not exist for 2 months? It's just a waste of money, and most people are just hesitant because this keeps happening. Games keep closing really quickly after launching, so no one really has a lot of trust that it's going to be around for a while, so why waste money on it, you know? I don't know, like, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You're disappointed that the game's not getting more microtransactions, so it's not sustainable, but it's also not getting microtransactions and not sustainable because people think it might close in a couple of months, and now it is closing in a couple of months, confirming their fears. Like, it's, you know what I'm saying? I think there's quite a few reasons why this game failed, and it's not because I think the game is bad. In fact, I actually do like the game, like I said. There were just some things that were suboptimal about it, like I mentioned, the release time period, as well as constantly postponing it from the beta, which had a lot of hype. There were some steps that ensured that it didn't stand that great of a chance of actually competing against Con. I went over some more of them on stream, so I'll play those clips real quick, and then I'll get into that personal message from the executive producer. Yeah, I did want to mention the Ubisoft stuff before starting. It just popped up for me, and I was looking at it, so real quick, I'm sure a lot of you saw this. Ubisoft is already shutting down X-Defiant. This thing barely had a longer lifespan than Concord. Man, the L's for Ubisoft just keep coming. That's not true, they had multiple betas. That's not...
The Butterfly Kiss Pro by Skull Shaver is one of the quickest and smoothest shaves you can find. 2 minutes and done. The blades of the Butterfly Kiss pivot and adjust to move safely over your dangerous curves. The Butterfly Kiss Pro electric shaver also comes with an exfoliating brush for clearer skin and a closer shave. So if you hate having people ask you, ouch, what happened to your ankle? Get the Butterfly Kiss Pro by Skull Shaver now.
The sun produces events known as coronal mass ejections, which can send billions of tons of matter out into space. And if it comes towards us, it can impact the Earth in as little as 15 hours. One potential result, geomagnetic currents that can damage our critical infrastructure, like electrical transmission lines or oil pipelines. This is what caused those incredible auroras and exploding telegraphs back in 1859. It's also what nearly led the U.S. to nuclear war with the Soviet Union in 1967, when a solar storm briefly interfered with our radar, leading the U.S. to think the Soviets were about to attack.
The full release, brother. Well, I think one of the big reasons why this game ended up flopping, well, flopping's not even the right word, because during beta people were super hyped for it, but they kept postponing the actual release, and by the time it actually released, it was already too close to Call of Duty that had a lot of positive hype, and that absolutely took wind out of its sails. I also think the biggest reason that it didn't survive very long is because they relegated to the sarcophagus of Uplay. Nobody wants to download Uplay for any reason. The only reason people even have Uplay is because they're forced to for Siege. If not for Siege, nobody would have this. And the only way to get X-Defiant was through Uplay. So by not being on Steam and being like readily accessible on PC, I think that destroyed their chances. Skull and Bones is still up, it'll save this sinking ship. That's true, they still have their quadrupled A Skull and Bones. Everyone loves Skull and Bones. But it's actually not just X-Defiant, the plug pulled on them. I read this as well. Well, it's not letting me open the whole tweet. But Ubisoft is closing a lot of their studios. They're cutting 277 positions through these closures. Ubisoft is getting godooshed in stock price, in everything, from all angles. Old Ubisoft was good. Old Ubisoft had bangers. New Ubisoft releases NFT games in 2024. It is such a shame, man. I did like X-Defiant during beta, but once it came full release, I didn't touch it. There was other games that it was competing with, like it released in the middle of other games I was playing. Never went to it. And I just played the new Call of Duty when it came. If Assassin's Creed Shadows fall, if Assassin's Creed Shadows doesn't go ballistic, I think Ubisoft gets purchased by a different entity. I think Tencent takes them. That's my little game theory. That is their last hope, and I don't have a lot of faith in Assassin's Creed Shadows because I think most people, like myself, are kind of fatigued with it. I'm always shooting spitballs at Ubisoft, and this one warrants a big loogie going through the pipes. It is brutal. Absolutely tragic. Well, not tragic. It's Ubisoft's own fault. It's not like the universe is working against them. Ubisoft themselves is working against their best interests. So they're shutting down Ubisoft San Francisco and Osaka. And then they're downsizing elsewhere, so it's around 277 people that are about to lose their jobs from it. What was the budget for XDefiant? I'm gonna speculate. I would guess between 50 and 100 million. Especially, that's not taking in marketing, but with especially like the amount of faith they had in this, I would think anything, it's 80 million. Like they put their nuts in it. They went really hard with trying to push XDefiant as the COD killer. Didn't quite pan out. The only thing that will ever kill COD is COD. Yeah, I think COD's at a point where people are so married to it, they're not just going to up and abandon it for something else, especially in an age where games are closing within a month or two of launch. Like, yes, XDefiant had betas. A lot of hype in the betas, but they kept pushing the actual release further and further down the road. When it finally comes out, people aren't playing it, there's not a lot of faith in Ubisoft, and they do end up closing doors pretty quickly. So it's hard for people to even buy into a franchise because you don't know how long it's going to be around for. Games last about as long as fucking mosquitoes now. So people don't like Ubisoft Connect because you need to be online. They have lots of microtransactions. Solution, I'm probably online anyways from using PC.